Welcome to the Focus Caustics tutorial for KeyShot 4. This video will demonstrate how the use of caustics in KeyShot 4 can provide an additional level of realism and detail to your scenes. Caustics are defined as the envelope of light rays reflected or refracted by a curved surface or object. Here I'll show you a couple examples where the use of caustics will benefit your 3D renderings, and also some tips on how to achieve the best output quality. Caustics are optimized for less complex scenes, so let's get started by importing a simple glass of water and applying materials. I'll adjust the perspective to something more reasonable and increase ray bounces, allowing light to penetrate through some of the dark areas. While here in the Settings tab, enable Focus Caustics. Depending on environment lighting and additional scene geometry, a visible change may not be noticeable. If your object rests directly on the ground like this one does, add a ground plane under the Edit menu to provide a surface for the light rays to be cast upon. Give the scene time to res up, and now you should start to see a subtle effect. To increase visibility, we can change the environment from the default startup to one with higher contrast, a stronger light source, and a darker floor. Now let me quickly show you a comparison with caustics disabled and then with the ground plane hidden. So as you've seen, utilizing the environment lighting is one method to create caustics. However, for a little more control, we can use a light source material. Let's change our environment to a simple gradient so the two lighting methods aren't competing. Import a primitive and apply a point light diffuse material. In order for the power values to be accurate, set your model units under the Edit menu. Position and adjust the light. If using a ground plane, you may notice some grain. What I like to do is increase the samples of the ground material along with the shadow quality, and allow the scene to res up in real time. I've found that this method produces the most accurate results. So go ahead and take a screenshot by pressing the hotkey P when you're satisfied with the results. If you'd like to light your model by HDR and composite with the shadow and caustics of your screenshot, lock your camera and resolution, hide your ground plane and light, apply and adjust your environment. Then output as a PNG or TIFF with transparency, using the same resolution as the real-time window. Now you can quickly composite the two images in Photoshop. Here's another type of example you may have seen. Light rays from the outdoor environment I've applied to the scene react with the ripples in the water to create caustics at the bottom of the pool. With caustics off, the water looks pretty dull and uninviting. But if we turn them back on, you can see how it adds life to the scene. It's rare that our customers are actually rendering pools, so let's look at something a little more practical and complex. When rendering jewelry, the environment lighting is extremely important. So what I've done here is created a custom HDR to achieve the desired highlights, shadows, and reflections. I positioned a disc with a point light diffuse material applied, shining in a consistent direction with the ground shadow. I increased the radius to 1 to soften the cast shadow. This pumps some more light into the diamond to create the focused caustics on the ground. Again, I increased the samples of the ground plane and cranked up the shadow quality to 5. Since the model is more complex, rendering the scene would take some time. To ensure the final results would be identical to what I was seeing, I simply let the real-time view bake overnight and took a screenshot the next morning. The result came out noise-free with some excellent caustic subtleties from both the diamond and the band. If you prefer a render output over waiting for the real-time view to res up, I recommend using the maximum time or maximum samples mode. Remember, with each of these modes, you can stop them at any time that you're satisfied with the render and the image will save. For less complex scenes, you may want to use Advanced Control Output, where you'll notice a caustics slider. Increasing this will improve the quality of the caustics, giving more detail and less splotchiness, but it will of course add to render time. Also, increasing the scene samples will help reduce grain, but utilize region render for test areas to make sure your settings are optimized and you're being efficient in your workflow. So whether working with packaging, jewelry, or even being creative with automotive and consumer electronics, the use of caustics in KeyShot 4 can help add an extra touch of life and realism to your 3D renderings.